So this is one of the biggest days the Caps have had in a while. Earlier today, the Washington Capitals traded former starting goaltender Darcy Kuemper to the Los Angeles Kings in a one-for-one, zero salary retention transaction for Pierre-Luc Dubois. My name is Andy, or Caps_coverage on Instagram. I grew up in the DC metro area, huge fan of the team, worked for them for a little bit, still do, and I know a lot about this team. They've always been my guys, and boy, do I have some opinions on this one. So let's start with the context for both teams. Pierre-Luc Dubois went to LA last summer. Huge blockbuster at the time. The Kings gave the Jets Rasmus Kupari, Gabe Vilardi, Alex Alfalo, and a second round pick, which they acquired in exchange for Sean Durzi, I might add. And he just had a very underwhelming year in Los Angeles. They signed him to a huge 8-year extension at $8.5 million annually. He was expected to fill in as their 1C, and he put up 40 points in 82 games. By the end of the season, he was playing fourth-line minutes. He was a -9 overall. Then in the playoffs, he had 1 goal in 5 games in their first-round loss to Edmonton and had 20 penalty minutes. Similarly, the Capitals had a struggling player in Darcy Kuemper. After spending his first year in Washington as the no-question starter in 2022-23, Kuemper had a really good year. He had a .909 save percentage, was tied for second in the league in shutouts with 5, and had a .285 goals against on a very bad Washington Capitals team. And then 2023-24, he lost his starting job to Charlie Lindgren and put up a career worst .890 save percentage and had an abysmal .331 goals against. I believe throughout the last about 3 weeks of the season, Lindgren was the only goalie to see the ice. Kuemper didn't even touch the ice in April or at all during the playoffs. And both of these players are on very expensive contracts with term. Kuemper's is shorter and less money, but still $5.25 million a season until 2027. And then Pierre-Luc Dubois, I'm sure as everybody knows at this point, a full no-move clause for the next 4 years, and then that shifts to a modified no-trade clause for the final 3 years of the deal. And for all 7 of those years, he will be paid $8.5 million a season. But I can see what Brian McClellan is seeing in this trade. The Capitals have a glaring need at number 1 center. As good as Dylan Strome was last season, he is ideally your number 2 center. Dubois has the potential to be that number 1 center that the Capitals need. And as we saw in some seasons with Columbus and Winnipeg, this is a guy who has all the talent in the world. Talent is not the issue. The question with Dubois is whether or not the effort's always there. If it's not an ideal situation and it's not where he wants to be, he has some tendencies to sort of coast around and not produce as well. And that's really what I'm scared of, because the Kings intentionally made this deal before July 1st when a no-move clause would have kicked in his contract, preventing LA from trading Pierre-Luc Dubois anywhere without his permission. And I have a feeling that had we reached July 1st and this deal had not been completed yet, Dubois would have vetoed any trade to Washington. I can't lie. I'm a little sad that the Caps made this trade. I truly think that Darcy Kuemper will have a huge bounce back next year with Los Angeles. I think he even could have had it in Washington. But if they plan on using Lindgren as their starter, which it sounds like is going to be the case, you can't pay a backup goalie $5.25 million. I fully understand why they made the move. But taking back a contract like Pierre-Luc Dubois, he's a guy who's forced his way out of 2 teams. He forced his way out of Columbus. He forced his way out of Winnipeg. Finally got a contract, a long-term deal with a team that he wanted to play for in LA, and then it felt like he was just kind of coasting through the season. He looked as though at points he had locked up his contract. He was just content with being there. And then he just didn't perform up to the same level. They signed to be a first-line center. By the end of the season, he was playing fourth-line minutes. It's a very scary contract to have 7 years left on at $8.5 million per season. I'm just a little shaky on that. Thanks for watching. This is my first sort of experiment into video content. I've done a lot of social media with Instagram in the past, but I'm trying to expand my outreach. Hope you all enjoy.